He texted her, "Stuck at Mom's for dinner, love you." But she was sitting 3 tables away at the same restaurant, watching him kiss someone else. She didn't make a scene. She simply replied, "Enjoy dinner with your mom," and attached a photo of his table. The sound of his phone dropping was audible. "Hi, my beautiful family. Welcome back to Mr. Peter's Stories. May the heavenly God bless every woman with a heart that radiates love, strength that can move mountains, and wisdom that lights the path for generations. May your days be filled with joy, your nights with peace, and your families wrapped in endless protection. You are the pillars of life, the silent strength that carries homes, the purest reflection of grace and resilience. May every challenge transform into opportunity, every tear turn into hope, and may your sacrifices be honored beyond measure. May your voices be heard, your dreams fulfilled, and your spirits celebrated. You deserve the highest respect, love, and blessings for all that you give to the world. If your heart is true, like the video, if your love is real, write, "I am with Mr. Peter." The champagne tasted like victory, though Misty Sanderson didn't know why yet. She sat alone at table 17, watching her husband's tongue disappear into another woman's mouth. The candlelight made everything look romantic. The French restaurant, the pianist playing something slow and expensive, the way Derek Woods had his hand buried in blonde hair that definitely wasn't his wife's. Misty had been sitting here for 23 minutes, not hiding, not crying, just watching. Her phone buzzed against the white tablecloth. "Stuck at Mum's for dinner, baby. She's going through old photos and getting emotional. Might be late. Love you." Misty read Derek's text twice. The lie was so casual, so practiced, like he'd been doing this for a while. Her thumb hovered over the keyboard. She could call him right now, confront him, make him look up and see her sitting here watching his entire charade collapse, but that would be giving him what he wanted. Drama, emotion, a scene he could twist into being her fault somehow. Misty had learned a long time ago that the most powerful move was always the one nobody expected. She lifted her phone, framed the shot with steady hands. Derek's profile, the blonde's red lipstick smeared across his mouth, the wine bottle between them that cost more than most people's monthly rent, and took the photo. Her fingers didn't shake when she typed back, "Enjoy dinner with your mum." She attached the photo, hit send. Then she took another sip of champagne and counted. 15 seconds. The crash of Derek's phone hitting the marble floor echoed through the restaurant like a gunshot. Every head turned. The blonde jerked backward. Derek's face went white as fresh snow as he stared at his shattered screen, his hands actually trembling as he picked it up. Then his head snapped up, eyes scanning the restaurant like a trapped animal. Their eyes met across 3 tables and a universe of broken promises. Misty raised her champagne glass, smiled, not warm, not forgiving. The smile of a woman who'd just realized she'd been playing chess while her husband played checkers. Derek stumbled to his feet, knocking his chair backward with a clatter that made the couple behind him flinch. The blonde grabbed his arm, her face confused, her mouth moving with questions he wasn't hearing. He shook her off like she was diseased, like touching her suddenly burned. People were staring now, whispering behind menus and wine glasses, phones coming out to record what was clearly about to become a scene. But Misty had never been the type to give strangers a show. She placed her glass down with perfect precision, smoothed her black dress, the one Derek had told her made her look too severe, too professional, not soft enough, and picked up her purse. When Derek started rushing toward her, weaving between tables, nearly knocking over a waiter carrying a tray of desserts, she held up one hand. Palm out. "Stop." He froze like she'd shot him. "Don't," Misty said. One word. Quiet. But it carried across the space between them like a command from God. "Misty, I can explain." "I said don't." Her voice never rose, never cracked. "You're interrupting my dinner, Derek." "Your dinner? You're alone." His voice was too loud, desperate, making people lean back in their chairs to avoid the splash zone of his panic. "I was enjoying being alone, until you reminded me why I started preferring it." The blonde had appeared at Derek's elbow, mascara starting to run, looking between them like she was watching a car accident. Her dress was too tight, her heels too high. Everything about her screamed trying too hard. "Is this your wife?" Misty's eyes slid to her, really looked. The woman was beautiful in that generic way. Blonde, thin, expensive clothes that screamed trying too hard. Probably 30. Definitely stupid if she thought Derek Woods was worth the trouble. "Was I talking to you?" Misty asked. Her tone could have frozen water. The blonde's mouth opened, closed, opened again like a fish drowning in air. "That's what I thought." Misty returned her attention to Derek, let the silence stretch for 3 seconds, long enough to make him squirm. "You have lipstick on your collar. It's tacky." "Baby, please, just let me—" "Don't call me that." The temperature in Misty's voice dropped 20 degrees. "You lost that right the moment you put your tongue in someone else's mouth and lied to me about where you were." Derek's hands were shaking. Actually shaking. Good. "It was a mistake. A stupid, horrible mistake. I've been stressed with work and you thought lying about having dinner with your mother, who's been dead for 3 years, by the way, was the smart play." Misty tilted her head. "Did you forget she died, Derek? Or did you just think I was too stupid to remember?" The color drained from Derek's face so fast, Misty thought he might faint. Around them, the whispers got louder. Someone gasped. Another person whispered, "Oh my God," loud enough to carry. The blonde's face went from confused to horrified as that particular truth bomb exploded. "Oh God," the blonde whispered. "Your mother's dead?" "Shut up, Amanda," Derek snapped. Amanda. So he'd told Misty he was at his dead mother's house while he was actually here with Amanda. Creative, also pathetic. Misty stood. At 5'9" in heels, she looked Derek dead in the eyes. Equal height, equal stance, but not equal power. Never equal power. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to stay here with Amanda, finish your wine, pay your check. Then you're going to go wherever men like you go when their wives catch them being exactly who they've always been." "Misty, I love you." "No." She said it so simply, so finally, like closing a book she'd already finished reading. "You loved what I gave you. There's a difference." She walked past him. He grabbed her wrist, not hard, but enough to stop her. Misty looked down at his hand on her skin, then up at his face. The entire restaurant seemed to hold its breath. "Remove your hand," she said quietly, "or I'll remove it for you, and everyone in this restaurant will watch me do it." Derek let go like she'd burned him. His hand dropped to his side, fingers curling into a fist, then uncurling, then curling again like he didn't know what to do with them anymore. Misty walked toward the exit. Every eye in the restaurant followed her. The pianist had stopped playing. Even the waiters had frozen mid-step. Her heels clicked against the marble floor, steady and certain, the sound of a woman who knew exactly where she was going. At the door, Misty paused, turned back. Derek stood in the middle of the restaurant, looking destroyed, looking lost, looking like a man who'd just realized he'd burned down his own house with himself inside it. The blonde stood a few feet away from him now, maintaining distance like his failure was contagious. "Derek?" Misty called across the silence. His head snapped up. Hope flickered in his eyes like a dying candle, like maybe she was going to forgive him, like maybe this was all just a scare. "Your credit cards are going to stop working in about an hour," Misty said. Her voice carried across the silent restaurant, clear, calm, devastating. "I'd pay that check soon if I were you." Then she walked out into the night, leaving her husband standing in the ruins of everything he'd taken for granted. The valet brought her car around, the Tesla Derek thought he'd bought with his money. Misty got in, adjusted the mirror, and checked her lipstick. Perfect. Not a crack in the armor. Her hands were steady on the steering wheel. Her breathing was calm. She looked exactly like a woman who had everything under control, because she did. She pulled out her phone and made one call. "Rebecca, it's Misty. I need you to activate the protocols we discussed. Yes, all of them, tonight." A pause. "No, I'm fine. Better than fine. I'm done being married to a man who thinks I'm too stupid to check his lies." Misty ended the call, started the car. The dashboard lit up blue, casting her face in cold light. In her rearview mirror, she could see Derek burst out of the restaurant, looking left and right, desperate, his jacket flapping open, his tie askew. Misty drove away without looking back. Behind her, in that French restaurant with its romantic lighting and expensive wine, Derek Woods was about to learn a lesson men like him never thought they'd have to face. The woman he'd taken for granted had always been the only thing holding his world together. And she'd just let go. Chapter 2. The wife he never knew. Derek stood in front of his own house like a stranger begging for shelter. The locks had been changed. Every single one. Front door, back door, garage, gate, all of it. His keys didn't work. His fingerprint didn't work. The smart home system that responded to his voice had somehow forgotten he existed. It was 3 a.m. He'd been standing here for 20 minutes, trying everything. His phone was down to 12% battery. His shirt was soaked with sweat despite the cool night air. His hands hurt from pounding on the door. "Misty!" He pounded on the door again, harder this time. The sound echoed through the quiet neighborhood. Someone's dog started barking. "Misty, please, I know you're in there." Lights came on, not just inside the house. Neighbors' lights too. People peering through curtains. Great, perfect. Now everyone on Rosewood Drive would know Derek Woods got locked out of his own house. Except it wasn't his house. It never had been. He was starting to remember that now. Hope surged through Derek's chest when he heard footsteps inside. She was going to let him in. They'd talk. He'd grovel. She'd forgive him eventually because that's what Misty did. She forgave him. Always had. Every time he'd forgotten her birthday, every time he'd taken credit for her ideas, every time he'd promised to do better and didn't, she always forgave him. The door opened. Misty stood there in a silk robe the color of blood, looking like she'd had the best sleep of her life. Her face was fresh, no makeup, hair loose around her shoulders. She looked younger than she had in years, lighter. Behind her, Derek could see suitcases, his suitcases, packed and lined up like soldiers ready for deployment. "Did you pay your check?" Misty asked. Conversational, like they were discussing the weather. "Or did Amanda have to cover it when your cards declined?" "The cards..." "Misty, what did you do?" "I removed your access to my accounts." She said it like she was commenting on the weather. No heat, no anger, just facts. Seemed appropriate. "Your accounts, Misty, that's our money." "No, Derek." Misty stepped aside. Behind her, a woman in a sharp suit appeared. Rebecca Chen, their family lawyer. No, not their lawyer. Misty's lawyer. Derek's stomach dropped. "It's my money. It's always been my money. You just spent it." Rebecca handed Misty a folder. Misty opened it with one hand, pulled out documents with practiced ease, and held them up like evidence in a trial. "Woods Tech Solutions," Misty read. Her voice was steady, professional, the voice she used for board meetings. Founded 8 years ago. Initial capital investment, $6 million. Source of funds, Misty Ann Sanderson's inheritance from her grandmother, Elizabeth Sanderson, who died in 2016. She paused. Let that sink in. Patent filings for the core algorithm. Misty Ann Sanderson, sole inventor, filed March 2017. Business model development. Misty Ann Sanderson, documented in these 37 pages of business plans written entirely in my handwriting. First 5 client acquisitions. Misty Ann Sanderson's contacts from graduate school at MIT, where I graduated summa cum laude while you were getting drunk at state school. She looked up. Should I go on? Derek's mouth went dry. The details. She had every single detail memorized, every date, every number, every fact. I was the CEO. I built that company. You were the face, Misty corrected. I built the company. You smiled at investors and played golf with clients while I worked 70-hour weeks in the background, making you look smart, making you look competent, making you look like someone worth investing in. That's not ownership structure. Misty pulled out another document. This one had colored tabs marking different sections. 60% Misty Sanderson, 20% shared investor pool, 20% Derek Woods. She tilted her head. Did you actually forget? Or did you just tell yourself the lie so many times you started believing it? Derek grabbed for the papers. Rebecca stepped between them with the smoothness of someone who'd anticipated this exact move, and Derek suddenly realized how small he'd become, how powerless. Rebecca was 5'4" and probably weighed 110 pounds, but she stood there like a wall he couldn't cross. "You can't do this," he said. His voice came out smaller than he wanted, weaker. "I can. I did. It's done." Misty gestured to the suitcases behind her. "Your clothes are packed, your toiletries, some photos in case you want to remember what having a family looked like. Everything else stays because everything else is mine. The furniture I bought, the art I selected, the dishes I chose, the home I made while you were busy pretending you were important. Misty, please. Can we just talk? Inside, like adults. We are talking. And no, you're not coming inside. This is my house. I bought it before we got married with money from my first startup sale. Remember that startup, Derek? The one you told people we built together even though you weren't. Even in the state when I incorporated it." She paused. "Or did you forget that too?" Derek's legs felt weak. The ground beneath his feet seemed unstable. This wasn't how this was supposed to go. Misty was supposed to cry, throw things maybe, scream at him, let him grovel and eventually soften. Not this cold, calculated dismantling of his entire existence. Where am I supposed to go? The question came out smaller than he meant it, quieter, like a child asking where he was supposed to sleep. "I don't care." Misty's face showed nothing. No anger, no sadness, nothing. Just that cool assessment she usually reserved for business deals gone bad. "Call one of your friends, the ones you were laughing with last week when they made jokes about me at dinner. I'm sure they'll help." "What are you talking about?" "Devon Marcus, Brandon Lee, Justin Chang." Misty counted them off on her fingers, each name precise. "Your golf buddies, the ones who spent 2 hours at our anniversary party last month calling me the ballast, and wondering why a catch like you settled for someone so ordinary. You remember that dinner, Derek? Because I do. I was in the kitchen, the door was open. I heard every word, every laugh, every joke at my expense." Derek's face went hot. He'd forgotten about that. Or maybe he'd just hoped she hadn't heard. "They were drunk. They didn't mean—" "You laughed," Misty said. Each word landed like a slap. "They called your wife ordinary, boring, not good enough for you, and you laughed. You didn't defend me. You didn't tell them to shut up. You didn't stand up and end the dinner. You laughed and said, 'She has other qualities.' I was going to say you were brilliant, but you didn't." Misty's voice finally showed emotion. Not sadness. Rage. Pure, cold rage that had been building for months, maybe years. "You let them disrespect me in my own home, while I cooked food for them with my own hands, cleaned plates they ate from, smiled while they patronized me, and you said nothing. So forgive me, Derek, if I don't give a damn where you sleep tonight." She snapped her fingers. 2 men appeared from inside the house. Movers, Derek realized. Professional ones wearing company uniforms. They picked up his suitcases and carried them down to the driveway with the efficiency of people who'd done this before. "Wait!" Derek's voice cracked. "Misty, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know I messed up. I know I—" "You don't know anything." Misty stepped closer. In the porch light, Derek could see her eyes were dry. Not a single tear. Not even close. "You think you messed up tonight? Derek, you messed up 3 years ago when you started taking me for granted. You messed up every time you let your friends mock me. Every time you forgot to thank me for the work I did while you took credit. Every time you came home and asked what's for dinner without asking how my day was. Every time you introduced me as my wife instead of Misty Sanderson, the woman who actually runs our company. I'll change. I swear to God You'll what? Stop cheating? Stop lying? Stop taking credit for my work? Misty laughed, and it was the cruelest sound Derek had ever heard. Sharp and bitter and final. You told me you were having dinner with your dead mother, Derek. Your dead mother. That's not a mistake. That's not a slip of the tongue. That's who you are. A man who will say anything, lie about anything, use anyone, including his dead mother's memory, to cover his own ass. Rebecca cleared her throat. Mrs. Woods, we should... Miss Sanderson, Misty corrected, her voice sharp. I'm going back to my name. I'm filing the paperwork tomorrow. He can keep his. I don't want it anymore. Derek felt like he was drowning. Misty, please, I love you. No, you don't. Misty looked at him like he was something sad and broken on the side of the road. You loved having a wife who made you look good. You loved having someone brilliant enough to build your company, but quiet enough to let you take credit. You loved having me handle the hard parts of your life while you played Billionaire. You loved the idea of me, the convenience of me, the way I made your life easier. She paused. But you never loved me, because if you did, you wouldn't have been able to do what you did tonight. That's not true. Tell me something. Misty crossed her arms. What's my favorite color? Derek opened his mouth, closed it. His mind went blank, completely blank. How did he not know this? They'd been married 6 years. My favorite book? Nothing. He knew she read constantly. But what did she read? He'd never asked. The name of my thesis advisor in graduate school, the one who helped me develop the algorithm that made you rich. Derek's silence was answer enough. The silence stretched between them like a chasm. You don't know, Misty said softly, almost gently, which somehow made it worse. We've been married 6 years, and you don't know basic things about me because you never bothered to ask. But I know everything about you, Derek. I know you take your coffee black with 1 sugar. I know you're allergic to shellfish, and you found out in 4th grade when you ate shrimp at a birthday party. I know your favorite movie is The Godfather, and you cry every time you watch the ending, even though you pretend you don't. I know you bite your lower lip when you're lying. I know these things because I paid attention, because I loved you. Loved? Derek's voice broke on the word. Past tense? Past tense, Misty confirmed. I stopped loving you somewhere between the 3rd time you forgot my birthday and the night you told investors you came up with the algorithm yourself at that conference in Miami. I just didn't realize it until I saw you kissing someone else and felt relieved instead of hurt. Derek's knees actually buckled. He caught himself on the doorframe, fingers digging into the wood. Your friends? Misty continued, relentless. The ones you think will help you. I paid them. Every golf game, every club membership, every investment opportunity they threw your way, I funded all of it. My money bought their loyalty, Derek, not yours. You don't have money. You never did. You just had access to mine. She smiled. Watch how fast they disappear now that I've cut off the supply. You're lying. Call them, Misty challenged. Right now, call Devon. Tell him you need a place to stay. Derek pulled out his phone with shaking hands, dialed Devon's number. It rang, and rang, and rang. Voicemail. He tried Brandon. Same thing. Justin. Straight to voicemail. They're asleep, Derek said desperately. It's 3 a.m. They're awake, Rebecca said, holding up her own phone. I sent an email to all of Mr. Woods' associates at midnight, informed them that Ms. Sanderson, would no longer be providing financial backing for any ventures associated with Mr. Woods. The responses came in within minutes. She turned her phone around. Derek saw a chain of emails, every single one declining future association, every single one citing changed circumstances, every single one throwing him away like garbage, like he'd never mattered at all. No, Derek whispered. Yes. Misty's face was stone. You want to know what else I did tonight while you were panicking? I called the investors, the real ones, the ones whose money keeps Woods Tech running, told them I'd be taking a more active role moving forward. Not one of them objected. In fact, most of them said they'd been hoping I'd step up because they knew, everyone knew except you apparently, that I was the real talent behind the company. Misty, you can't. I can. I am. It's done. She stepped back into the house. There's a board meeting Monday morning, 9 sharp, emergency session. I suggest you attend. Should be educational. What happens Monday? Misty's smile was sharp enough to cut. You'll find out with everyone else. She started to close the door. Derek shoved his foot in the gap, like he'd seen people do in movies, like it would make a difference. I can fix this, he said, voice raw, desperate, pathetic even to his own ears. Misty, please, just give me a chance to fix this. You had 6 years of chances, Derek. You used every single one to prove I was right not to trust you. You had 6 years to ask me about my day, to defend me to your friends, to treat me like a partner instead of a servant. You had 6 years to love me the way I deserved, and you wasted all of them. She looked at his foot in her doorway. Move, or I'll break it. Something in her eyes told Derek she absolutely would. No bluff, no hesitation. She'd slam the door on his foot and not lose a second of sleep over it. He moved his foot. The door closed with a sound like the end of the world. The lock clicked, then another lock, then another. 3 locks. When had she installed 3 locks? Derek stood there on the porch of his own house. No, Misty's house. It was always Misty's house, and felt reality crash down around him like a building collapse. His phone buzzed. A notification. Bank account access denied. Another buzz. Credit card cancelled. Another. Credit card cancelled. His email pinged. A message from Woods Tech's head of security. Your building access has been revoked pending Monday's board meeting. Please return your security badge to HR by end of business Friday. Derek sank down onto the porch steps, still holding his dead phone, watching the sun start to rise over the city he'd thought he owned. Behind the closed door, he heard Misty's voice, calm and clear. Rebecca, get me the Forbes reporter, the one who's been asking for an interview. I want to schedule it for next week. I think it's time people knew the real story behind Woods Tech Solutions. Derek put his head in his hands and finally understood the truth. He hadn't just lost his wife tonight. He'd lost everything, and Misty Sanderson had been the one holding it all together the entire time. He just hadn't noticed. Or maybe he had noticed and just hadn't cared because it was easier to pretend he'd done it all himself. Either way, it was over now. The sun kept rising, the neighbors kept staring, and Derek kept sitting on the porch steps of a house that had never been his, holding the pieces of a life that had never been his either. Chapter 3. The King Finds No Kingdom. Derek's car wouldn't start. He sat in the driver's seat of his Mercedes, turning the key over and over, getting nothing but a sick clicking sound. The battery was dead, or maybe Misty had done something to it remotely. The car was registered in her name too, he was starting to realize. Everything was in her name. The sun was coming up over the hills. Saturday morning. People were jogging past Misty's house. No, stop calling it that. It was just Misty's house now, looking at him sitting in a dead car surrounded by suitcases like some kind of evicted tenant. His phone was down to 8% battery, no charger. That was in the house. Derek scrolled through his contacts, looking for anyone who might help. The list felt shorter than it had yesterday. Devon, Brandon, Justin, all the guys from the club had stopped answering. He tried his business partner, Marcus Rivera, the one who ran the satellite office in San Diego. Ring, Rye. Derek. Marcus's voice was cold. Interesting night? Marcus, thank God. Listen, you need me to pretend I didn't get a very detailed email from Misty Sanderson at 1 in the morning explaining that you committed fraud against the company. Derek's blood turned to ice. What? She attached documentation. Expense reports where you claimed personal purchases as business costs, client dinners that never happened, a hotel in Cabo that you charged to the company card while telling everyone you were at a tech conference in Seattle. Marcus laughed, but it wasn't friendly. That was Amanda, wasn't it? The blonde from last night. How did you... It's all over social media, Derek. Someone recorded the whole thing at the restaurant. You're trending on Twitter. Well, you and your dead mother that you supposedly had dinner with. Derek felt sick. Marcus, that's not, I can explain. Save it. The board meets Monday. I'll be there. And Derek, I'm voting against you. We all are. The line went dead. Derek stared at his phone, trending on Twitter. He opened the app with shaking hands. There it was, top of his feed. Video footage from last night, someone's phone camera catching Misty's voice carrying across the restaurant. Your mother's been dead for 3 years, by the way. Did you forget she died, Derek? Or did you just think I was too stupid to remember? 7 million views. 20,000 retweets. The comments were brutal. Imagine lying about your dead mom to cheat on your wife. That woman is ice cold and I respect it. His wife built his company and he cheated. Men are trash. Derek closed the app before he could read more. He tried the only hotel he could think of, the Riverside Inn downtown. His credit card declined. He tried another card. Declined. His debit card. Declined. The hotel clerk looked at him with poorly hidden recognition. Sir, I'm sorry, but without a valid payment method. I'm Derek Woods, he said stupidly. I have money. There's just some kind of error with, I know who you are, sir. The clerk glanced at his computer screen, probably pulling up Twitter right now. Perhaps you could call your bank, Derek called. Automated system. Your account has been closed at the request of the primary account holder. He tried his personal account. Same message. His investment account. Same. His phone died. Derek stood in the hotel lobby with a dead phone, no money, no car, and nowhere to go. Someone bumped into him. A woman, early 20s, eyes going wide when she recognized him. Oh my God, she whispered. Then louder, you're the guy from the video. The dead mom guy. People started turning, staring, phones coming out. Derek grabbed his suitcases and ran. He ended up at a coffee shop 3 blocks away, begging to use an outlet. The barista, college kid probably, let him charge his phone out of pity. Derek sat in the corner, trying to make himself invisible, while his phone slowly came back to life. When it hit 10%, he called the only person he had left. Amanda. It rang 4 times before she picked up. You have some nerve calling me, she said instead of hello. Amanda, I need help. You need to lose my number. Her voice was pure venom. Do you have any idea what you've done to me? My firm put me on administrative leave. They saw the video. Everyone saw the video. I'm being investigated for ethics violations because I was sleeping with a client's husband. Wait, what? Client's husband? Your wife hired my firm 6 months ago for estate planning, Amanda spat. I had access to all her financial records. That's how I knew about the company structure. That's how I... She stopped. Derek's mind was racing. How you what? Silence. Amanda, how you what? Nothing. Forget it. Don't call me again. You were trying to steal the company, Derek said slowly. You and someone else. That's why you seduced me. Amanda laughed. Sharp. Bitter. Seduce you? Derek, you couldn't get your credit card to work at our first dinner. I knew what you were the second you tried to impress me with stories about your company. You're pathetic. Who was it? Derek demanded. Who were you working with? Does it matter? It didn't work. Your wife is too smart. She figured it out in about 30 seconds and burned everything down before we could make a move. Another bitter laugh. She recorded everything, Derek. Every conversation, every text you sent me. She's been 3 steps ahead the entire time. That's not possible. She sent it all to my boss this morning. Every email where I discuss stealing client information, every plan. I'm not getting suspended. I'm getting disbarred. Amanda's voice cracked. I'm done. My career is over, and it's your fault. My fault? You're the one who... You were supposed to be easy, a stupid, arrogant man who thought he was smarter than his wife. That's what my partner said. But you weren't even useful enough to distract her properly. She was yelling now. Do you understand what she did? She let us think we were winning. She let you cheat. She let you lie. She collected evidence on everything for months. Then she destroyed all of us in one night. Who was your partner? Derek asked again. Like I'm telling you anything else. Amanda laughed one more time. Enjoy your life, Derek, or what's left of it. She hung up. Derek sat in the coffee shop, phone in his shaking hands, watching his entire worldview collapse. Misty had known. For months, maybe longer, she'd known about Amanda, about the company fraud, about everything, and she'd waited, gathered evidence, built her case, then executed it perfectly. His phone buzzed. Email from Woods Tech, HR. Your company laptop, phone, and building access have been revoked. Please return all company property by Monday morning or legal action will be taken. Another buzz. Text from a number he didn't recognize. Your car has been towed from Rosewood Drive. It's being returned to the registered owner. Have a nice day. The registered owner. Misty. Derek had nothing. Not one single thing in his life was actually his. He looked out the coffee shop window and saw his own face on the TV news, silent footage of last night playing on loop. The caption read, "Tech CEO caught cheating, wife takes control of company." Except that wasn't right, Derek thought. The wife had always controlled the company. He'd just been too stupid to notice. His phone buzzed one more time. A text from an unknown number. "Derek, it's Misty. Don't text back, don't call. Just read. There's an apartment in the Ellis building downtown. Unit 412. The key is with the building manager. It's paid for the next month. Your clothes are already there. After that, you're on your own. This isn't kindness. This is me making sure you don't become my problem when you're homeless. Don't mistake it for forgiveness. Don't mistake it for anything except what it is. Me taking care of loose ends. P.S. I'm jogging through Riverside Park tomorrow morning at 7. Don't be there. Don't approach me. Don't exist in my world anymore. I'm done cleaning up your messes." Derek read it 3 times. She'd already moved his clothes. Already set him up somewhere to live. Already thought 3 steps ahead about what would happen when he had nowhere to go. She was still taking care of him, even while destroying him, even while clearly hating every atom of his existence, because that's who Misty was. Thorough, careful, always thinking ahead. And he'd thrown her away for Amanda, a woman who'd been using him the entire time. Derek put his head down on the coffee shop table. Through the window he could see the park, Riverside Park, where Misty jogged every weekend, where they used to jog together before he started sleeping in and making excuses. Tomorrow morning at 7, she'd be there. And Derek understood with crystal clarity that if he showed up, if he tried to talk to her, she would destroy him even more completely than she already had. Because Misty Sanderson didn't make threats. She made promises. And she always kept them. Chapter 4. The throne she takes. The boardroom at Woods Tech Solutions had floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the bay. Derek had spent 6 years staring out those windows from the head of the table, thinking he owned the view. Monday morning, 9 sharp, he walked in to find every seat filled except 2. His seat, and the one at the opposite end of the table. "Derek," Marcus Rivera nodded without smiling. "Take a seat." Derek looked at his usual chair. Some kid from accounting was sitting in it, looking nervous. "That's my seat," Derek said. "Not anymore," Marcus replied. "Sit wherever there's space." The only empty chair was in the corner, the chair they usually saved for interns taking notes. Derek's face burned, but he sat. The 12 board members stared at him, not one friendly face. These were people he'd had drinks with, played golf with, called friends. Now they looked at him like he was something tracked in on someone's shoe. "We're waiting for Ms. Sanderson," Marcus said, checking his watch. "Ms. Sanderson, not Mrs. Woods anymore." The door opened. Misty walked in and Derek's heart stopped. She wore red, blood red, a suit that probably cost more than his first car, tailored perfectly, making her look like she could buy and sell everyone in this room. Her hair was pulled back, diamond earrings catching the light, heels that made her tower. She looked like money, like power, like someone who'd been hiding her true self for years and had finally stopped pretending. Behind her came Rebecca and 2 lawyers Derek didn't recognize. "Gentlemen," Misty said. "Not good morning, not hello, just gentlemen." Like she was announcing that playtime was over, she walked to the head of the table. The kid in Derek's old seat practically fell over himself, scrambling out of it. Misty sat down, smoothed her jacket. looked at each board member in turn. Then finally her eyes landed on Derek. She didn't smile, didn't frown, just looked at him like he was a problem she was about to solve. "Let's begin," Misty said. "Rebecca, the documentation." Rebecca placed a folder in front of each board member. Derek got one too. He opened it with shaking hands. Articles of incorporation, Woods Tech Solutions, ownership structure, highlighted in yellow. Misty Ann Sanderson, 60% investor pool, 20% Derek Michael Woods, 20%. "I want to make sure we're all clear on the facts," Misty began. Her voice was calm, professional, terrifying. "I founded this company 8 years ago with $6 million of my inheritance. I developed the core algorithm. I recruited our first 10 clients. I built the infrastructure that allowed this company to grow." She paused. Let that sink in. Derek Woods served as public-facing CEO. His contributions included client relations, public speaking, and brand representation. Valuable contributions, but not foundational. One of the board members, Janet Wu, head of operations, cleared her throat. "Ms. Sanderson, we appreciate the clarification, but we've all known about the ownership structure for years. Why are we here?" "We're here," Misty said, "because Derek has been committing fraud against this company for approximately 3 years. Rebecca?" Rebecca stood, pulled up a presentation on the screen. Expense reports filled the display, hundreds of them, each one highlighted. "December 2022, Rebecca began. Hotel charges in Cabo San Lucas totaling $47,000. Reported as business expense, conference attendance. In reality, personal vacation with Amanda Reese, attorney at Foster & Hughes." Derek's face went white. "March 2023, luxury car lease, charged to company. Reported as client transportation vehicle. Actually used exclusively for personal use." The list went on, and on, and on. Dinners that never happened, conferences he never attended, flights to cities where no business was conducted, all on the company card, all fraudulent. "Total estimated theft," Rebecca concluded. "Approximately $2.3 million over 3 years. The room was silent. Janet Wu looked at Derek like he'd just grown a second head. "Is this accurate?" Derek opened his mouth. Nothing came out. "Mr. Woods," Misty said, still so calm, still so professional, "would you like to respond to these allegations?" Those expenses were, "Choose your words carefully," Misty interrupted, "because anything you say here can and will be used in criminal court if I decide to press charges." Criminal court. Derek felt the floor drop out from under him. "Misty, please." "Ms. Sanderson," she corrected. "We're not married anymore, Derek. I filed this morning, and in this room you will address me appropriately." "Ms. Sanderson," Derek's voice cracked. "Those expenses, some of them were misclassified, but they weren't theft?" Misty tilted her head. "What would you call taking company money for personal use and lying about it?" "Misappropriation, maybe, but the legal term," one of the new lawyers said, "is embezzlement. Class B felony. 5 to 15 years. Derek couldn't breathe. Marcus leaned forward. "Miss Sanderson, what are you proposing?" "I'm proposing," Misty said, "that Derek Woods be removed from his position as CEO, effective immediately. His 20% ownership stake will be bought out at fair market value, minus the stolen funds. He will surrender all company access, all company property, and all claims to company intellectual property." "And if I refuse?" Derek managed. Misty smiled. It was worse than her anger. "Then I press charges, you go to prison, and I buy your ownership stake from you anyway when you're bankrupted by legal fees. Your choice. But choose quickly. I have an interview with Forbes in 2 hours, and I'd like to know whether to mention your upcoming incarceration or just your termination." "This is insane," Derek stood up. "You're doing this because you're angry about Amanda. This is personal." "Sit down." Misty's voice dropped 20 degrees. Derek sat. "You're right," Misty said. This is personal. You cheated on me. You lied about my contributions. You let your friends disrespect me in my own home. You stole from our company. You embarrassed me publicly. Personal doesn't begin to cover it. She stood, walked around the table, stopped directly in front of Derek. But here's what's not personal: the math, the documentation, the legal standing. I own 60% of this company. I can remove you with or without this board's approval. I brought them here as a courtesy, to show them who's actually been running things. She leaned down, close enough that only Derek could hear her next words. "You're nothing without me," she whispered. "You've always been nothing without me. And now everyone knows it." She straightened, addressed the room. "All in favor of removing Derek Woods as CEO and accepting the buyout terms as stated?" Every hand went up, every single one. People he'd worked with for years, people he'd called friends, all voting to destroy him. "Motion passes unanimously," Marcus said. "Derek, you're out." Rebecca stepped forward with papers. "Sign here, here, and here. You have 48 hours to return all company property. After that, we involve law enforcement." Derek stared at the papers, at the sum, $4 million, for his 20% stake, less the $2.3 million he'd misappropriated, $1.7 million. That's what his career was worth. "Sign it," Misty said, "or go to prison. I genuinely don't care which you choose." Derek picked up the pen. His hand was shaking so badly he could barely write his name, but he signed, all 3 pages. "Excellent." Misty took the papers, handed them to Rebecca, then looked at Derek. "You have 30 seconds to leave this building. After that, security will escort you out." Derek stood, looked at the faces around the table. No sympathy, no support. He walked to the door. "Derek." Misty's voice stopped him. He turned. She was sitting in his chair now, the CEO chair, where she'd always belonged. "My lawyer will be in touch about the divorce," she said. "I'm keeping the house, the cars, and everything we acquired during the marriage. You'll get whatever's left after I'm compensated for the career sacrifices I made to build your image." "Which is what?" Derek asked hopelessly. "Whatever I decide you deserve," Misty replied. "Which, given what you did, might be nothing." She swiveled the chair to face the windows, the bay view, the city. "Close the door on your way out." Derek left. Behind him he heard Misty's voice, strong and clear. "Now then, let's talk about the future of this company, our real future, without dead weight." The door clicked shut. Derek walked past the cubicles where people used to greet him. Nobody made eye contact. He walked past his old office. Someone was already boxing up his things. He walked past the receptionist who used to smile at him. She was on the phone, deliberately not looking. The elevator doors closed. Derek saw his reflection in the polished metal. He looked like a man who'd just lost everything, because he had. And the woman he'd betrayed was sitting in his chair, running his company, living his life. No, not his life. Her life. It had always been her life. He'd just been allowed to borrow it for a while, and Misty Sanderson had just taken it back. Chapter 5. The friends who laughed at her. The gas station on Miller Street smelled like burnt coffee and desperation. Derek stood behind the counter, wearing a polyester vest with a name tag that said Derek in crooked letters. His shift started at 6 in the morning, ended at 2 in the afternoon. Then he went to his second job washing dishes at a restaurant downtown until 11 at night. 3 weeks since the board meeting. 3 weeks since his entire world collapsed. The settlement money, 1.7 million minus lawyer fees, taxes, and the advance Misty had demanded on the divorce, had come down to about 800,000. Sounds like a lot until you realize you have no income, no skills, anyone wants to pay for, and a reputation so toxic that even fast food chains wouldn't hire you. The gas station manager had hired him out of pity, or maybe because Derek was willing to work for minimum wage and didn't complain. The bell over the door chimed. Derek looked up from restocking cigarettes. Devon Marcus walked in, wearing a suit that probably cost more than Derek made in 6 months. Derek's stomach dropped. Devon didn't notice him at first. He was on his phone, laughing about something, heading for the energy drinks. Then he looked up. Their eyes met. Devon's face went from surprised to delighted. No way. Derek? Derek Woods? Derek wanted to disappear. Hey, Devon. Holy hell, man. Devon walked up to the counter, still grinning. I heard you were having a rough time, but I didn't know it was this rough. Yeah, well, here I am. Working at a gas station. Devon laughed. Not mean exactly, but not kind either. That's amazing. I mean, not amazing for you, obviously, but where's your billionaire wife now? Ex-wife. Soon-to-be ex-wife. Right, because you cheated on her with that lawyer chick. Devon shook his head. Dude, what were you thinking? Misty was... He stopped, grinned wider. Actually, you know what? I'm glad you're here. I've been wanting to tell you something for years. Derek didn't want to hear it. Devon, I'm working, so... We hated you, Devon said cheerfully. Me, Brandon, Justin, all the guys, we absolutely hated you. The words hit Derek like a physical blow. What? You were such a tool, man. Walking around like you built this empire when everyone knew it was Misty, talking down to people, acting like you were God's gift to tech. Devon grabbed an energy drink. We only hung out with you because Misty kept paying for everything. The club memberships, her money, the golf trips, her money. That investment fund you got us into, all Misty. Derek felt sick. You didn't know that either. Devon laughed. Man, you really are clueless. Misty approached us like 3 years ago. Said she needed us to keep you distracted, keep you feeling important, while she did the real work. We were basically paid babysitters. That's not true, dude. Check your bank records. Oh, wait, you can't because you don't have access anymore. Devon set the drink on the counter. $4, right? Or is that too complicated for you now? Derek's hand shook as he scanned the drink. $4.50. Inflation's a bitch. Devon pulled out a 50. Keep the change. Consider it a tip from an old friend, or should I say, an old employee of your wife. She's not my wife anymore, yeah, you said. Devon pocketed his drink. Hey, you see that billboard on Highway 9? The one with Misty on it? Woman of the Year from Forbes? She looks amazing. Like seriously, she's glowing. Being rid of you really agrees with her. Derek wanted to hit him, wanted to scream, wanted to do anything except stand here in his stupid vest taking this abuse. But he needed this job, so he said nothing. You know what the funniest part is? Devon leaned on the counter. At your anniversary party last year, when we were calling Misty boring and ordinary and wondering why you settled. You remember that? Derek remembered. God, he remembered. We were testing you, Devon said. Misty asked us to. She wanted to see if you'd defend her, if you actually gave a damn about her, or if you were just using her for money and status. Derek's world tilted. You laughed, Devon continued. You sat there and laughed while we insulted your wife, and you said, she has other qualities. Not shut up, that's my wife. Not show some respect. Just she has other qualities, like she was a car with good gas mileage. She asked you to test me. Yep, and you failed spectacularly. Devon grinned. She knew right then you didn't love her, that you were just coasting on her work. So she started preparing, started documenting everything, started building the case that ended with you working at a gas station while she runs $100 million company. The bell over the door chimed. Brandon Lee and Justin Chang walked in, saw Derek and started laughing immediately. Oh, this is too good. Brandon walked over. Devon, you seeing this? Already enjoying it, Devon replied. Justin circled the counter like Derek was an exhibit at a zoo. The mighty Derek Woods. How's life treating you, buddy? Fine, Derek managed. Looks fine, Brandon said. Real fine. Nothing says fine like making $8 an hour. Minimum wage is actually... Don't care, Brandon interrupted. Hey, remember when you told that reporter you were a self-made billionaire? That was hilarious. You were literally standing next to Misty when you said it, and she just smiled and didn't correct you. She was recording everything, Devon added. Every lie you told, every time you took credit for her work. She has a file the size of a phone book, apparently. Her lawyer told my lawyer. Your lawyer? Derek asked. Oh yeah, I got a lawyer after you went down, Devon said. Had to make sure Misty understood I was just following her instructions. Didn't want her thinking I was actually your friend. Could have damaged my reputation. The three of them laughed. Derek felt something break inside him. These weren't his friends, had never been his friends. They'd been Misty's employees, paid to keep him distracted while she built something real, and he'd been too stupid to see it. Anyway, Justin said, grabbing chips and a soda, this has been fun, but we've got a real business meeting to get to. With real business people. You know how it is. Oh wait, you don't anymore. They paid with exact change. Left no tip. At the door, Devon turned back. Hey, Derek, that lawyer you cheated with? Amanda? Derek's jaw tightened. What about her? She's working at a document processing center now, making copies. Couldn't get another law job after what happened. Her partner, the one who set you up, he's in prison for about 6 other scams. Devon smiled. Misty destroyed all of you, systematically. And the beautiful part? She did it legally. Everything she did, totally within the law. You can't even sue her for revenge because she didn't do anything wrong. She ruined my life. No, Devon said seriously. You ruined your life. She just stopped holding it together for you. They left. Derek stood behind the counter, surrounded by lottery tickets and cheap sunglasses, and felt the full weight of his choices crash down. His phone buzzed. Instagram notification. Someone had tagged him in a post. He opened it reluctantly. It was a photo from last night. Misty at some charity event, standing between 2 tech billionaires, looking radiant in a dress that probably cost more than Derek's car. The caption read, "Honored to support the Women in Tech Foundation with visionaries like Misty Sanderson. The future is in brilliant hands." The comments were full of praise. She's incredible. Where has she been hiding? Oh, right, behind her loser ex-husband. Cheating on this woman? He deserves everything he got. Derek closed the app, looked around the gas station, the flickering fluorescent lights, the stained tile floor. The security camera pointed at him like judgment. This was his life now. Misty was on billboards, on magazine covers, running the company they'd built together. No, that she'd built while he smiled for cameras. And Derek was here, selling cigarettes to people who used to envy him. The bell chimed again. Derek looked up, ready for more humiliation. It was a teenager buying energy drinks. Didn't recognize him, didn't care who he was. Somehow, that was worse than Devon's mockery, being nobody, being invisible, being exactly what Misty had warned him. He was under all the money and status, nothing special at all. Just a man who'd gotten lucky enough to marry someone brilliant and stupid enough to throw her away. Chapter 6. The mother who chooses her Derek's apartment, the one-bedroom box Misty had paid for the first month that he now barely afforded with his 2 jobs, smelled like old takeout and regret. He'd just finished a 16-hour shift, gas station to restaurant, and every part of his body hurt. His hands were wrinkled from dishwater, his feet throbbed. He smelled like grease and desperation. Someone knocked on the door. Derek almost didn't answer. Nobody visited him anymore. Nobody called. Nobody cared. But the knock came again, insistent. He opened the door. His mother stood there. Caroline Woods, 71 years old, silver hair perfect, wearing pearls like she was going to church. She looked at Derek the way someone might look at roadkill. "Mom?" Derek's voice cracked. He hadn't seen her since the scandal broke. She'd stopped answering his calls after the 3rd one. "Derek?" She didn't move to hug him, just stood there holding her purse like a weapon. "Can I come in?" "Yeah, of course, He stepped aside, suddenly ashamed of the unmade bed, the pizza boxes, the laundry everywhere. Caroline walked in, looked around, said nothing about the mess. She sat down on the only chair, folded her hands. Derek remained standing. "Mom, I'm so glad you're here. I've been trying to reach you. I know. I got your messages. Then why didn't you? Because I was ashamed, Caroline said, each word precise, careful, deeply, profoundly ashamed to call you my son. The words hit harder than Devon's mockery, harder than losing everything. Mum, do you remember what I told you when you married Misty? Caroline continued. I said you were marrying someone too good for you, someone brilliant and kind and patient. I told you to treat her like the gift she was. Derek remembered. Misty had cried at the wedding, happy tears. His mother had held her hands and welcomed her to the family like she'd been waiting for Misty her whole life. I tried. You didn't try, Caroline interrupted. You used her. You let her build your life while you pretended to be important. You took credit for her work. You let your friends mock her. And then, her voice hardened, you cheated on her with some woman who was trying to steal from both of you, and you lied to me about it. I never lied to you about... You told me you were having dinner at my house. Caroline's voice rose. I've been dead to you for 3 years according to the restaurant video. Did you forget I was still alive, Derek? Or did you just think I was too senile to notice you using me as an alibi? Derek sank onto the bed, put his head in his hands. I'm sorry, he whispered. Mom, I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this. Sorry doesn't undo what you did to that girl. She's not a girl, she's the best thing that ever happened to you, Caroline said. And you destroyed it. For what? For someone who was using you? For an ego boost? For some pathetic midlife crisis? Derek had no answer. Caroline stood, walked to the window, looked out at the parking lot and the highway beyond. I had lunch with Misty yesterday, she said. Derek's head snapped up. What? We meet every Tuesday now, have been for about a month. She's helping me with my charity foundation, teaching me about online fundraising and donor management. Caroline turned. She's brilliant, Derek, truly brilliant. And sitting across from her, watching her work, all I could think was, my son had this woman and threw her away. You're still seeing her? Of course I am. She's family. Or she was. She's certainly more family than you've been lately. Derek felt something crack in his chest. Does she ever talk about me? No. Caroline's answer was immediate. Not once. Not to ask how you are, not to gloat, not to express anger. You simply don't exist to her anymore. That hurt worse than if Misty had spent the whole time cursing his name. But I talk about you, Caroline continued. I apologized to her for raising a son who could treat someone so poorly. Do you know what she said? Derek shook his head. She said, Caroline, you raised him to know better. He chose to ignore it. That's not your failure. It's his. Caroline's eyes filled with tears. She defended you, even after everything. She defended you to your own mother. Derek's throat closed. And that's when I realized, Caroline said, that she's a better person than you'll ever be. That she always was. And that I'd rather spend my time with her than waste another minute hoping you'll become someone worth knowing. Mom, please. I'm not here to comfort you, Derek. I'm here to tell you that I'm ashamed of you. That I'm staying in Misty's life and leaving yours. That whatever relationship we had ended the day you betrayed the only person who ever saw something in you worth loving. Derek stood. You can't mean that. I absolutely mean it. Caroline picked up her purse. Your father would be disgusted. Thank God he didn't live to see what you've become. That's not fair. Fair? Caroline laughed bitterly. You want to talk about fair? That girl spent 6 years building your career, managing your life, making you look good, and you paid her back by humiliating her in public and stealing from the company she created. Don't talk to me about fair. She walked to the door, paused. There's a charity gala next month, Caroline said, raising money for women's education. Misty's the keynote speaker. I'll be there at her table supporting her work. I'm not invited, I'm guessing. You're not even a thought. Caroline opened the door. Goodbye, Derek. I hope someday you become the man Misty thought she married, but I'm not holding my breath. She left. Derek stood in his empty apartment and felt the last thread connecting him to his old life snap. His own mother had chosen Misty over him. And why wouldn't she? Misty was brilliant, successful, kind, generous. Derek was a gas station clerk who'd thrown away everything for a woman who'd been scamming him. He pulled out his phone, opened Instagram. There was his mother's latest post from yesterday. A photo of her and Misty having lunch, both smiling. The caption, "Grateful for brilliant women who inspire me every day. Lucky to call this one family." The comments were full of people asking who the beautiful woman with Caroline was. His mother's response, "This is Misty Sanderson, tech innovator and the strongest person I know. So proud to support her work." No mention of Derek, no mention that Misty had been her daughter-in-law, just erased, like he'd never existed. Derek went to Misty's Instagram. Her latest post was from this morning. A photo from her office, the CEO office that used to be his. She was standing by the windows, looking out at the bay, wearing a suit that made her look like she could buy the world. The caption, "Year 8 of building something meaningful. Year 1 of building it honestly. Here's to new beginnings." New beginnings, like Derek had been the false start, the rough draft, the mistake she was correcting. He scrolled through her recent photos, charity events, business meetings, award ceremonies. His mother appeared in several of them, Misty's sister, friends Derek had never met, a whole life, full and rich and successful, without him. Derek closed the app, lay back on his unmade bed, stared at the water-stained ceiling, and realized that even his own mother had figured out what he was just starting to understand. Misty had been the best part of his life, and he'd never valued her until she was gone. Chapter 7. The House of Lies Collapses. The email came at 2 in the morning. Derek had just gotten home from the restaurant, exhausted and smelling like industrial soap. He collapsed on his bed, still wearing his shoes. His phone buzzed. A notification. From Rebecca, attorney at law. Subject, information you should have. Derek almost deleted it. Misty's lawyer had nothing to say to him that he wanted to hear, but something made him open it. "Mr. Woods, I'm attaching documents you should see. Not for legal reasons, the case is closed, but because you deserve to know exactly what happened to you. Consider it a professional courtesy, or perhaps revenge. I haven't decided which." Rebecca. There was a PDF attached, 63 pages. Derek opened it with shaking hands. The first page was an email chain between Amanda Reese and someone named Marcus Rivera. Wait, Marcus Rivera, his business partner, the guy who'd voted to fire him at the board meeting. Derek's blood turned cold. He read, "Marcus, the husband is an idiot. Easy to manipulate. I'll seduce him. Get close, extract information about Sanderson's ownership structure. Once we have what we need, we make our move. Amanda. Perfect. She's too quiet. Nobody will believe her if she claims theft. We frame her for fraud, steal the company, dump the husband. 6 months. Tops." Marcus. What about the husband? Amanda. Who cares? He'll be collateral damage. Probably end up in prison with her if we play it right. Derek felt sick. The emails went on, months of them, planning, scheming. They'd targeted him specifically because he was stupid enough to cheat, because he was arrogant enough to think he'd built the company himself, because he was weak enough to manipulate. Another email, this one from Marcus to someone else. "The wife is the real threat. She's smarter than she looks. We need to distract her while we move assets. The husband is perfect for this. He's so desperate for attention, he'll do anything for a pretty face." Derek kept reading, page after page of manipulation, of lies, of careful planning to destroy Misty and steal everything she'd built. Then the emails stopped, replaced by new ones. From Misty, to her lawyer, to a private investigator, to various people Derek didn't know, all dated 6 months before the restaurant incident. "Rebecca, I have reason to believe my husband is being targeted for manipulation. Please begin surveillance on the following individuals: Amanda Reese, Marcus Rivera. She'd known. 6 months before Derek even met Amanda, Misty had known something was wrong. The next document was a surveillance report, photos of Amanda and Marcus meeting, audio transcripts of their conversations, planning the whole thing. Then another report, Amanda researching Derek's schedule, following him, setting up accidental meetings. Misty had documented everything. While Derek thought he was having an affair, Misty had been 3 steps ahead, watching it unfold, collecting evidence. There was a note in the margin, Misty's handwriting. He's going to fall for this. I know him. He's going to cheat and lie and destroy everything we built, because he never valued it. Derek's hands shook. More documents. Evidence that Amanda had fed Derek false information about Misty, lies about her spending money, about her talking to other men, about her planning to divorce him. All designed to make Derek paranoid, to make him pull away from Misty, to make him easier to control. And Derek had believed every word. There was a transcript of a conversation between Amanda and Marcus, dated 2 weeks before the restaurant. Amanda. He's ready. He thinks his wife is cheating on him. Thinks she's stealing from the company. He's so turned around he doesn't know what's real anymore. Marcus. Beautiful. When she finds out about the affair, she'll be too hurt to think straight. We move on the company while she's emotional, file for emergency ownership transfer, claim she's mentally unfit. Done and done. Amanda. What if she doesn't react emotionally? Marcus. She's a woman who just got cheated on. Of course she'll react emotionally. Derek wanted to throw up. They'd underestimated Misty so completely. Thought she'd fall apart. Thought she'd be too hurt to fight back. Instead, she'd dismantled them like she was taking apart a machine. The next section was Misty's counter-strategy, step by step. Allow the affair to continue, document everything, wait for the perfect moment, public, undeniable, devastating, then execute. Remove Derek's access to all accounts immediately. He has no legal standing. Everything is in my name. Contact all investors, explain the situation, present evidence of Marcus's attempted theft. They'll side with me. Expose Amanda to her law firm with evidence of ethics violations. She'll be disbarred. Press charges against Marcus for attempted fraud. He'll go to prison. Remove Derek from the company. He'll have nowhere to go, no support, no resources. He'll understand exactly how much he depended on me. Every move she'd made, she'd planned weeks in advance. The restaurant, the photo, the timing, all of it calculated for maximum impact. Derek had thought he was making choices, but he'd been dancing on strings the entire time, and Misty had been holding them. The final document was a letter, handwritten, never sent. Derek, by the time you read this, if you ever read this, you'll know the truth. That Amanda used you, that Marcus betrayed you, that everything was a lie designed to steal what I built. You'll probably feel like a victim, like you were manipulated, and you were. But here's what you need to understand. You were only manipulable because of who you already were, because you were arrogant enough to believe you deserved Amanda's attention, selfish enough to cheat instead of talking to me, weak enough to believe lies about me without asking for my side. Amanda didn't make you cheat. She just gave you permission to be who you already wanted to be. I could have stopped this at any point. I had evidence of their plan within 2 weeks. I could have warned you, protected you, saved you from yourself. But I didn't, because I needed to know. I needed to see if you'd choose me. If, when tempted, you'd remember your vows, your commitment, your wife who gave you everything. You chose Amanda. You chose the lie over the truth. You chose ego over love. So I chose myself. I let you fall. I watched you destroy everything. And then I took back what was always mine. You'll think I'm cruel. You'll think this was revenge. But it wasn't. It was clarity. You needed to lose everything to understand what you had, and I needed to watch you lose everything to finally stop hoping you'd become the man I thought you were. Consider this your education. It's the most expensive lesson you'll ever learn. Misty. Derek read it 3 times. Then he put his phone down, walked to his bathroom, and threw up. When he came back, he looked at the email from Rebecca again. There was one more line at the bottom he'd missed. P.S. Marcus Rivera is serving 18 months in federal prison for attempted corporate fraud. Amanda Reese lost her law license and works processing legal documents for minimum wage. They both thought they were smarter than Misty Sanderson. They weren't. Neither were you. Derek sat on his bed in his tiny apartment, 3 in the morning, alone, destroyed, and finally understanding that everything, absolutely everything, had been his choice. Amanda hadn't seduced him. She'd just offered what he already wanted. Marcus hadn't betrayed him. Derek had never been his partner in the first place, and Misty hadn't ruined his life. She'd just stopped holding it together. The difference being, if you need someone to hold your life together, you never really had a life at all. You just borrowed theirs. Chapter 8. The Encounter That Breaks Him 6 months. Derek had been living in his new reality for 6 months. 2 jobs, 70-hour weeks, barely making rent. His hands had permanent calluses from the gas station register and dishwater. His body ached constantly. He'd lost 20 pounds because he couldn't afford to eat much. But he kept going. Because what else was there? Saturday night. Derek had just finished his shift at the restaurant, almost midnight. He was walking to the bus stop when he passed Alessandro's, the Italian place where it all started, where he'd kissed Amanda while lying to Misty about his dead mother. He should have kept walking, but something made him look through the window, and there she was. Misty. She wore black, simple, elegant, devastating. Her hair was different, shorter, sophisticated. She was laughing at something, her head tilted back, looking more beautiful than Derek remembered. Across from her sat a man, tall, maybe 40, well-dressed, handsome in that effortless way some men managed. He was leaning forward, clearly interested, clearly charmed. Derek's heart stopped. He couldn't move, couldn't breathe, just stood there on the sidewalk watching his ex-wife have dinner with someone else. Misty said something. The man laughed, reached across the table, touched her hand. She didn't pull away. Derek felt something crack inside his chest. He walked to the restaurant entrance before he could stop himself. The hostess tried to intercept him. "Sir, do you have a reservation?" "I just need to talk to someone." "Sir." But Derek was already moving, through the tables, past shocked diners, toward Misty. She saw him coming. Her face didn't change, no surprise, no anger, nothing, just that same cool assessment she'd given him 6 months ago when she destroyed his life. "Misty," Derek said. His voice came out hoarse. "Please, I need to talk to you." The man across from her looked confused. "Is this nobody important?" Misty said, not taking her eyes off Derek. "Someone who used to be relevant." The words hit like bullets. "Please," Derek said again. He was aware people were staring, didn't care. "Just 5 minutes, I'm begging you." "Then beg," Misty said calmly. "Get on your knees and beg. Maybe it'll be amusing." Derek felt his legs buckle. He actually started to kneel. Misty held up one hand. "Oh my God, you were actually going to do it." She looked at her date. "This is my ex-husband, the one I told you about. The one who cheated, lied, stole, yes." Misty turned her attention back to Derek. "What do you want, Derek?" "I want—" His throat closed. "I want to apologize. I want to explain. I want—" "You want forgiveness," Misty interrupted. "You want me to tell you it's okay, that I understand, that you've suffered enough. You want me to make you feel better about being a terrible person." "No, Yes, you do. That's always what you wanted. For me to make things easier for you, to carry your burdens, to fix your messes." She took a sip of her wine. "I'm done doing that. Misty, I know what they did. Amanda and Marcus. I know they set me up. I know that you were targeted by predators because you were weak enough to be manipulated." Misty tilted her head. "Yes, I know that too. I knew it 6 months before you did. I watched it happen and did nothing because I needed to see if you'd fail the test." "You tested me?" "I gave you rope," Misty corrected. You hanged yourself with it. Her date was watching this like it was a movie. Several other diners had their phones out. Derek didn't care. I'm sorry, he said, voice breaking. I'm so sorry. I was an idiot. I took you for granted. I believed lies instead of trusting you. I destroyed everything because I was too stupid and arrogant to see what I had. Yes, Misty agreed. You were all of those things. Congratulations on achieving self-awareness. Can we talk? Somewhere private, just... No. Misty set down her wine glass. Derek, look at me, really look at me. He did. She was radiant, glowing, happy. Do I look like a woman who's missing something? She asked. Derek's answer caught in his throat. I'm happier now than I was in 6 years of marriage, Misty continued. I wake up without anxiety. I work without someone taking credit for my ideas. I live without someone undermining me at every turn. My life improved the day you left it. Each word was a knife. So no, Misty said. We're not talking. We're not reconciling. We're not anything. You're a stranger who used to sleep in my bed and spent 6 years proving he didn't deserve to be there. I've changed, Derek said desperately. I work 2 jobs now. I understand what you gave me. I know how much I depended on you. I'm different. You work 2 jobs because you have to, not because you've grown as a person, Misty interrupted. You understand what you lost because you lost it, not because you valued it while you had it. And you're not different, Derek. You're just poor now. There's a distinction. The man across from her looked uncomfortable. Misty, should I? Stay, Misty told him. Then to Derek, you're embarrassing yourself, and you're interrupting my dinner. I love you, Derek said. The words tumbled out. I know I don't deserve you. I know I destroyed everything. But I love you. I never stopped loving you. You never started, Misty said. You loved what I gave you. My money, my work, my patience. You loved having someone make you feel important. But you never loved me. Because if you did, you couldn't have done what you did. The restaurant manager appeared. Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Misty, please. Let him stay, Misty said, looking Derek dead in the eyes. I want him to watch me finish this dinner. I want him to see exactly how little he matters to me now. She turned back to her date, started talking about something work-related, laughing again, completely dismissing Derek's existence. Derek stood there for 10 seconds, 20, 30. Nobody acknowledged him. He was invisible, less than invisible. He was furniture, wallpaper, nothing. Finally, Derek turned to leave. Derek, Misty's voice stopped him. He turned back, hope flickering like a dying match. Your shoes untied, she said. Wouldn't want you to trip and hurt yourself. That would be sad. Not concerned, not caring, mocking. Derek looked down. His shoe was fine. When he looked up, Misty was already talking to her date again, had already forgotten Derek existed. Derek walked out of Alessandro's, the same restaurant where he'd destroyed his marriage, where he'd kissed Amanda while lying about his dead mother, where Misty had photographed his betrayal and ended his world. Now she was there with someone else, someone better, someone who probably appreciated her. Derek sat at the bus stop, put his head in his hands, and cried for the first time since this all began. Not because he'd lost her, but because watching her be happy without him hurt more than anything she'd actively done to destroy him. The revenge Misty had taken, the money, the company, the public humiliation, that was business. This, watching her laugh with someone else, seeing her thrive, knowing she'd genuinely moved on and improved, that was personal, that was the real punishment. And Derek finally understood. Misty didn't hate him. She'd moved past hate, past anger, past caring at all. She'd erased him, and there was nothing, absolutely nothing, Derek could do about it. Chapter 9. The silence that tortures Derek stopped begging. Not because he'd given up, but because he'd finally realized that every time he approached Misty, every time he tried to talk to her, every time he made himself visible, he was giving her exactly what she wanted, proof that he was still desperate, still broken, still unable to stand on his own. So he disappeared, not physically, but from her world. He kept working his 2 jobs, kept living in his tiny apartment, kept surviving, but he stopped calling, stopped showing up places she might be, stopped trying to explain or apologize or beg. Instead, he started doing something different. He started fixing what he'd broken. 3 months after the restaurant incident, Derek walked into the Women's Resource Center downtown. The place Misty had volunteered at for years while Derek played golf with his fake friends. "I'd like to volunteer," he told the director. She recognized him immediately. Her face hardened. "Mr. Woods." "I know who I am," Derek said. "I know what I did. I'm not here for forgiveness or redemption or to make myself feel better. I'm here to work. Whatever you need. Cleaning toilets, moving furniture, filing papers. I don't care." "Why?" Direct. Suspicious. "Because my ex-wife gave years of her life to this place while I mocked her for wasting time on charity. Because I want to understand what she saw here that I was too selfish to see. And because these women deserve help from people who show up, not people who make excuses." The director studied him. "If you're here to get close to Misty—" "I'm here on Tuesdays and Thursdays," Derek interrupted. "I checked her calendar. She volunteers Saturdays. I'll never be here when she is." "You checked her calendar?" "It's public. On the website. I'm not stalking her. I'm avoiding her." The director's expression softened slightly. "Tuesdays and Thursdays. 4-hour shifts. You'll be working with Maria. She doesn't suffer fools." "Good," Derek said. "Neither should she." He started the next Tuesday. Maria was 67, had raised 5 kids alone, and had a bullshit detector that could spot insincerity from a mile away. Derek scrubbed floors, organized donations, helped women fill out job applications, listened to stories that broke his heart and made him understand what real struggle looked like. Not struggling because you lost your CEO position, struggling because you had 3 kids and your husband beat you and you were choosing between rent and food. Real struggle, real pain, real courage. Derek had thought he was suffering, working 2 jobs, living small. These women were surviving, actually fighting for their lives and their children's futures. After the 3rd week, Maria pulled him aside. "You're different than I expected," she said. "How so?" "I thought you'd be here for show, for your ego, but you actually listen, actually care." She paused. "Why?" "Because I spent 6 years not listening to the most important person in my life," Derek said. "I'm trying to learn how." Maria nodded, didn't smile, but nodded. 4 months in, Derek started attending therapy. Not couples therapy, individual therapy, with Dr. Sarah, a woman who specialized in narcissistic behavior and emotional abuse. "I need to understand why I did what I did," Derek told her in their first session, "not to excuse it, to make sure I never do it again." They met twice a week. It was expensive. It meant skipping meals sometimes. But Derek went anyway. In therapy, Derek learned words for what he'd been: entitled, narcissistic, emotionally lazy. He learned that taking Misty for granted wasn't an accident. It was a pattern, one he'd learned from watching his father treat his mother the same way. He learned that love wasn't a feeling. It was a series of choices, and he'd chosen wrong every single time. Dr. Sarah didn't coddle him. "You're here because you lost something valuable and you want it back," she said bluntly. "That's not growth. That's self-interest." "You're right," Derek said. "So how do I make it about actual change?" "You don't do it for her. You do it for you. You become someone you can respect, whether or not she ever sees it." Derek started writing letters, not to Misty, to himself. Letters acknowledging every shitty thing he'd done, every time he'd taken credit for her work, every dinner party where he'd let his friends mock her, every lie he'd told. He filled notebooks, dated entries, specific memories, specific failures, not to show anyone, just to remember, to hold himself accountable. 6 months after the restaurant, Derek sent an email to everyone he'd wronged. His mother, Marcus's victims who'd lost money when the company almost collapsed, investors he'd lied to, Employees he'd treated poorly. Individual apologies, specific, no excuses, just, "I was wrong. I hurt you. I'm sorry. You don't have to accept this. You don't have to respond. I just need you to know I understand what I did." Some people wrote back. Most didn't. His mother's response was 5 words. "Actions matter more than words." Derek wrote back, "I know. I'm working on the actions." He started paying people back. Small amounts. $20 here, $50 there. To everyone he'd taken money from, everyone who'd covered his checks when his cards declined, everyone he'd stiffed on tips. He tracked every person down, sent money orders with notes. "This doesn't make it right, but it's what I owe you. I'm sorry it took so long." 9 months in, Derek quit his gas station job. Not to rest. To go back to school. Community college, night classes, business ethics, accounting, project management. The courses he should have taken before calling himself a CEO. He worked the restaurant job 6 nights a week, took classes the other 4, slept when he could. His apartment stayed small. His car stayed broken. His life stayed hard. But something was different. He was different. He stopped checking Misty's Instagram every day, then every week, then at all. Not because he didn't care, but because obsessing over her life while not fixing his own wasn't love. It was selfishness wearing a love mask. A year after the restaurant incident, Derek graduated from the Resource Center's training program. Maria and the director both came to the tiny ceremony. "I'm proud of you," Maria said. "Not for the certificate, for showing up every single week for a year, for actually changing." "Thank you," Derek said, and meant it. That night, Derek went home to his apartment. Made dinner, actual dinner, not takeout. Sat down with his notebook, wrote one more letter to himself. "A year ago, I destroyed my marriage because I was too arrogant to see what I had, too selfish to appreciate it, too weak to choose it when tested. I've spent this year trying to become someone different, not to win Misty back. I don't deserve that chance. Maybe I never will, but to become someone I can look at in the mirror without hating. I'm not there yet. Maybe I'll never be, but I'm trying. And for the first time in my life, I'm trying for the right reasons, not for her, for me, because I deserve to be better than I was. And the world deserves better than the man I used to be." He closed the notebook, got up, made coffee, sat by the window, and didn't think about Misty at all. For the first time in a year, he didn't check where she was, what she was doing, who she was with. He just existed. In his small apartment, in his small life, working, learning, growing, invisible to her, but finally visible to himself. The silence from Misty had been torture at first. Every day without her was agony. But now the silence was just quiet, and Derek was finally learning how to sit with himself in it. Then his phone buzzed. A text. Unknown number. He opened it. "Mr. Woods, this is Rebecca. Ms. Sanderson is hosting a charity gala in 2 months. Women's Resource Center fundraiser. You've been added to the invitation list. She didn't ask me to tell you this, but I will. She knows what you've been doing. The volunteering, the therapy, the apologies. She knows all of it. Whether or not she cares is between you and her. But you've been invited. Do with that what you will." Derek stared at the message for 5 full minutes. Then he wrote back, "Thank you for telling me. I'll be there." He put the phone down, looked out the window at the city lights, and understood. This wasn't forgiveness. This was a test. One final test. And Derek had 2 months to make sure he was ready to face it. Chapter 10. The second chance she grants like a queen. The ballroom at the Sterling Hotel held 300 people and looked like money had thrown up diamonds everywhere. Derek stood near the entrance, wearing a suit he'd bought from a thrift store and tailored himself with YouTube videos and determination. It fit, not perfectly, but honestly. Around him, tech billionaires and philanthropists mingled, holding champagne that cost more than Derek's monthly rent. He recognized faces from his old life. Nobody recognized him. He'd lost more weight. His hair was longer. His face had lines that weren't there a year ago. He looked like someone who'd lived through something hard and come out different on the other side. Derek scanned the room, looking for her, and then he saw Misty. She stood on a small stage at the far end of the ballroom, speaking to a crowd, wearing silver, her hair up, commanding the room like she was born to it. "And that's why the Women's Resource Center matters," she was saying, "because every woman deserves the chance to rebuild, to restart, to become who she was meant to be before the world told her she was less." The crowd applauded. Misty smiled. Not the fake smile Derek remembered from corporate events. Real, genuine. She looked happy. Derek stayed at the back, didn't approach, just watched. The speech ended. Misty stepped down, immediately surrounded by admirers. Derek saw his mother in the crowd, hugging Misty like they were family. They were family, more than Derek had ever been. He started to leave. This was enough. Seeing her succeed, seeing her happy. He didn't need to ruin it by Derek Woods. He turned. Misty stood 3 feet away. Somehow she'd crossed the ballroom without him noticing. Up close, she was devastating. The same woman who'd destroyed his world, but softer somehow. Or maybe Derek was just seeing her clearly for the first time. "Misty." His voice came out steady. "Good. You came." She didn't sound surprised, didn't sound anything. "I was invited." "You were." Misty looked him over, taking in the thrift store suit, the weight loss, the changes. "You look different." "I am different." "Are you?" Challenge in her voice. Not mean, just honest. "I'd like to think so," Derek said. "But you'd know better than I would." Misty tilted her head. "Why's that?" "Because you've been watching. The resource center, the therapy, the apologies. Rebecca told me you knew." "I do know. I've known everything you've done for the past year." She paused. "Did you do it for me?" This was it. The moment that mattered. Derek could lie. Say no. Claim he'd changed purely for himself. But Misty would know. She always knew. "At first," Derek admitted. "Yes, I did it all hoping you'd see, hoping you'd forgive me, hoping it would matter to you. And now? Now I do it because I needed to become someone I could respect," Derek said. "Whether you ever saw it or not, whether you ever cared or not, I needed to be better than who I was." Misty studied his face. Derek held still. Let her see whatever she needed to see. "Follow me," she finally said. She walked toward a side door. Derek followed. They ended up on a balcony overlooking the city. Private, quiet, just them. Misty leaned against the railing, looked out at the lights. "Maria from the resource center called me," she said, 3 months ago, told me you'd been volunteering, that you were different, actually showing up, actually helping. I didn't know she called you. She didn't ask permission, just told me you'd earned the right to have someone speak for you." Misty turned. "Do you know what I said?" Derek shook his head. "I said I didn't care." Misty's face was unreadable. "I told her you could volunteer for the rest of your life, and it wouldn't change what you did, wouldn't erase the pain, wouldn't make you worthy of forgiveness." The words hurt, but Derek nodded. "You were right." "Was I?" "Yes. Nothing I do erases what I did. I cheated on you, lied to you, took you for granted for 6 years, let my friends disrespect you, took credit for your work, destroyed our marriage for someone who was using me." Derek's voice stayed steady. "A year of volunteering doesn't balance that scale. Nothing does." "Then why are you here, Derek?" "Because you invited me, and because I owed it to you to show up and face whatever you needed to say to me." Misty was quiet for a long moment. Then, "Tell me about Amanda." Derek blinked. "What?" "Tell me about the affair, every detail, right now, in front of everyone watching us from inside." Derek looked through the glass. She was right. People were watching. His mother, Maria, Rebecca, the man from the restaurant. This was the test. "She approached me at a conference," Derek began. "Said she liked my speech. I was flattered. We had coffee. She asked about the company. I told her everything because I was stupid and arrogant and wanted to impress her. Keep going. We met for lunch, then dinner. She told me you were spending money recklessly, that you were talking to other men. I believed her because I wanted to believe I was the victim instead of the problem. More. I kissed her first. At the fourth dinner, she didn't seduce me, I made the choice. I told myself I deserved it because work was stressful and you didn't understand me. But the truth was, I wanted to feel important, and you made me feel ordinary because you were so much smarter than I was. Misty's face showed nothing. I slept with her, Derek continued, voice cracking now. Multiple times. For 2 months. I lied to you about work trips, late meetings, everything. I invented a conference in Seattle to cover a weekend in Cabo. I used company money to pay for hotels because I thought I deserved it. People inside were definitely watching now, phones out. The night you caught me, Derek said, I told you I was at my dead mother's house. I knew it was insane, but I panicked and it was the first lie that came out. When your text came through with the photo, I knew my life was over. I just didn't know how completely. What do you want from me now? Misty asked. Nothing. Derek meant it. I don't want forgiveness. I don't want another chance. I don't want you to tell me it's okay. It's not okay. It will never be okay. Then what are you doing here? I'm here because you asked me to be. Because after everything I did, you still extended this invitation, and I owed it to you to show up and face you. Derek looked her in the eyes. I'm here to tell you that you were right about everything, that I was weak and selfish and stupid, that you deserved better, that I'm sorry, not sorry hoping you'll forgive me, just sorry because it's true and you needed to hear it. Misty was quiet. Inside, the party continued. Out here, time seemed suspended. Dr. Sarah called me too, Misty finally said. Your therapist, she said you asked her to, that you wanted me to know you were doing the work. I didn't ask her to. She called anyway, told me she'd never seen someone work harder to understand their own failures, that you cried in every single session for the first 3 months, that you've been documenting every mistake you made, every way you hurt me, so you'd never forget. Derek said nothing. It was all true. Your mother called me too, Misty continued, told me she was proud of you for the first time in a year, that you'd sent her flowers every week with notes about things you should have said when your father was alive, that you were trying to repair every relationship you'd damaged, not just ours. I was, Derek said quietly. Misty turned to face him fully. Do you know what the hardest part of the last year has been for me? Knowing I exist? Watching you actually change. Misty's voice cracked slightly. Watching you become the man I'd hoped you'd be, and knowing it only happened because I destroyed you. Knowing that if I'd stayed, if I'd forgiven you, you'd never have hit bottom. You'd never have learned. Derek's throat closed. I had to break you to fix you, Misty said, and I hated myself for it even while I knew it was necessary. You don't. Shut up. I'm not done. Misty's voice hardened. You hurt me, Derek. Deeply. You made me question my worth, my intelligence, my value. You took 6 years of my life and wasted them on someone who didn't appreciate them. You humiliated me publicly. You stole from our company. You lied about my dead mother-in-law. Each word landed like a slap. And now you're here, Misty continued, standing in your thrift store suit that you tailored yourself, telling me you've changed, telling me you're sorry. Expecting what? Absolution. No, Derek said. Expecting nothing. I know what I did was unforgivable. I know I destroyed something irreparable. I'm not here for absolution. I'm here because you asked me to be, and I owe you at least that much. Misty stepped closer. What if I told you I'd been thinking about giving you another chance? Derek's heart stopped. I'd say you shouldn't. I'd say you deserve better. I'd say, I know what I deserve, Misty interrupted. The question is, do you know what you're asking for? I'm not asking for anything. Yes, you are. You're standing here, hoping. I can see it in your eyes. So tell me, Derek, if I gave you another chance, What would that look like? Derek took a breath. It would look like you holding all the power. Forever. It would look like a prenup giving you 90% control of everything. It would look like separate houses for as long as you wanted. It would look like me in therapy twice a week indefinitely. It would look like public accountability for everything I did wrong. It would look like you being able to walk away any time I failed to meet your standards. Misty's eyebrows rose. You've thought about this every day for a year, and you'd accept those terms? Without hesitation, Derek said, because they're fair, because I broke your trust and trust has to be rebuilt piece by piece, not handed back because I said sorry, because you're right to protect yourself from me. One mistake, Misty said, one single mistake, and you're gone forever. Do you understand that? I understand. No cheating, no lying, no taking credit for my work, no letting anyone disrespect me, no using our relationship for status or money, no treating me like anything less than the person who saved your worthless life. I understand. You'll volunteer at the resource center every single week. You'll finish your degree. You'll continue therapy. You'll apologize publicly for what you did. You'll return every single penny you stole from the company. You'll earn back every single piece of respect you lost. Yes. And even after all that, Misty said, voice dropping to something dangerous, even after years of proving yourself, I might decide you're not worth it. I might decide I'm happier alone. I might decide the man I'm dating now, yes, I'm dating someone, is better than you'll ever be, and you'll have to accept that. I will. Misty stared at him, searching his face for lies, for weakness, for the old Derek hiding behind the new one. Derek met her eyes, let her see everything. The pain, the growth, the understanding, the acceptance that he might lose even if he did everything right. Why should I believe you? Misty whispered. Because I don't have anything left to lose, Derek said. I already lost everything. The company, the money, the status, my friends, my mother's respect, my own self-respect. I already hit bottom. I already learned what happens when I take you for granted. He stepped closer, not touching, just close. I should believe you because I'm not the Derek who cheated a year ago, he continued. I'm the Derek who spent 12 months scrubbing floors, attending therapy, apologizing to everyone I hurt, and learning what it means to actually work for something instead of stealing credit. I'm the Derek who understands that you're the most brilliant person I'll ever meet, and I should spend every day grateful you're even breathing the same air as me. Misty's eyes were wet. First time Derek had seen her cry in over a year. I can't promise I'll never make mistakes, Derek said. But I can promise I'll never take you for granted again. I'll never lie to you again. I'll never let anyone disrespect you again. And if I do, you'll destroy me worse than you did last year because you'll know I had every chance to be better and chose not to. Yes, Misty said. I will. So I'm asking, Derek said, not for forgiveness, not for things to go back to how they were, but for the chance, the tiniest, most conditional, most heavily supervised chance to prove I can be the man you deserved all along. Silence. The city lights glittered below them. Inside, the party continued. People watched through the glass. Misty wiped her eyes, fixed her makeup with one hand. Then she looked at Derek. 2 years, she said. Separate houses, supervised contact, therapy twice a week for you, couples therapy once a week for both of us, new prenup giving me full control, public accountability, one mistake and you're gone forever. Derek's legs nearly gave out. You're giving me a chance? I'm giving you the opportunity to earn a chance, Misty corrected. There's a difference. And Derek, if you mess this up, if you waste this, if you prove me wrong for believing you could change, I will destroy you so completely that what I did last year will look like mercy. Do you understand? I understand. Say it. I understand that you're giving me the opportunity to earn your trust back, that it's conditional, that it's on your terms, that you can revoke it any time, that I have to prove myself every single day for as long as you decide, and that if I fail, you'll destroy me and I'll deserve every bit of it. Misty nodded once. Good. She turned toward the ballroom door. Derek followed. At the entrance, she stopped, looked back. Derek? Yes? Don't thank me, Misty said. Show me, every single day. Show me you're worth this risk. I will. And Derek? Her voice dropped. I'm not doing this because I need you. I'm doing this because I want to see if the man you've become can prove he deserves to be in my life. This is your one chance. Your only chance. Don't waste it. She walked into the ballroom. Derek stood there for a moment, processing. Misty Sanderson had just given him the most conditional, most heavily restricted, most impossible second chance in history. And Derek understood with perfect clarity, this wasn't forgiveness. This was Misty offering him the chance to spend the rest of his life earning something he'd thrown away. On her terms, her timeline, her conditions, he would live separately, work twice as hard, prove himself daily, accept public scrutiny, submit to therapy, return stolen money, apologize to everyone, rebuild from nothing. And even then, she might decide he wasn't worth it. But it was a chance. More than he deserved. More than he'd hoped for. Derek walked back into the ballroom. Misty was across the room, talking to his mother and Maria. She glanced at him once. Didn't smile, didn't wave, just looked, acknowledged his presence. That was enough. Derek stayed at the back of the room, didn't approach, didn't interrupt, just watched the woman who destroyed him and rebuilt herself. The woman who was now, maybe, possibly conditionally, willing to let him try to rebuild himself too, on her terms, as it should be, as it always should have been. Because Misty Sanderson wasn't giving him a second chance out of weakness or forgiveness. She was giving him a second chance because she was strong enough to demand he earn it, and Derek was finally smart enough to understand the difference.